So your Google Ads campaign just won't spend the full daily budget. You've told Google to spend a certain amount, but then it only delivers like half that or sometimes even less. It's frustrating, it's confusing, especially if you're profitable and ready to scale, but Google Ads just won't play ball. Then you're left scratching your head, wondering what's going wrong. If that sounds like you, you've come to the right place. I'm Darryl Mander, founder of Big Flare, a Google Ads specialist agency. We've generated over $150 million in e-commerce revenue through Google Ads, and we've seen this exact issue play out loads of times before. So in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly why your campaign isn't spending its full daily budget, and more importantly, how to fix it. Let's start with the most common reason, and it's surprisingly simple. If your campaign isn't spending its full daily budget, the issue is almost never the budget itself, it's your bids. Your cost per click bids are likely too low, which means Google can't win enough auctions to actually spend the money you've allocated. Here's how to fix that, depending on which bid strategy you're using. If you're using manual CPC, just raise your cost per click bids, plain and simple. If you're using target ROAS, the way to raise your CPC bids is to decrease your ROAS target. So if you're targeting a 500% ROAS, try dropping it to 400%. This signals to Google that you're okay with paying a bit more per click, and then that unlocks more spend. It's the same idea with target CPA, just in reverse. You have to increase your CPA target. If you're targeting a $50 CPA, try bumping it up to $60 or $70. That gives Google more room to bid higher on the cost per click and reach more people. Now, there's one more option that's a bit more aggressive, and you've got to be careful with this one. You can just remove your ROAS or CPA target altogether if you're using target ROAS or target CPA. That will switch you into a maximize strategy, either maximize conversions or maximize conversion value, depending on your goal. This gives Google complete freedom to bid as it sees fit, and yes, it usually results in the campaign spending more. But here's the catch. If your daily budget is set much higher than what you've actually been spending per day, this change can cause your spend to spike up very quickly and often at a worse ROAS or CPA than you're used to. So if you're going to test a maximize strategy, make sure you first reduce your daily budget to something closer to your recent average spend. Then, if results are good, you can gradually scale it back up from there. All right, now let's say you've checked your bidding strategy and adjusted it, but you're still not getting full spend. There are a few other reasons this might be happening. So let's run through them one by one, and I'll tell you how to check and fix each one. I'm even going to throw in a free tool to help you out with this, so bear with me here. First up, your keywords or products might just not be getting enough search volume. To check this, you can use Google's Keyword Planner tool to check how many searches your keywords are doing and then run some simple numbers to estimate spend potential for the keywords you're targeting. I've even created this free simple tool here, which you can grab via the link in the description below this video. Okay, so let's see what our search volume looks like first, and then estimate what our spend potential is for those keywords. In Google Ads, pull up your full keyword list like this. From the All Campaigns screen, go to Keywords. Make sure you're only looking at enabled campaigns, enabled ad groups, and enabled keywords. Click Download and then Save to a Google Sheet. All right, now open up your Google Sheet. Highlight all your keywords like this and copy them. Now go over to Keyword Planner inside Google Ads. There's an option here to get search volume forecasts. Hit this option right here. Paste in your full keyword list, and don't worry if there are duplicate keywords in there, the system will ignore those duplicates. Click the button to get started, and you should see something like this. What we can see here is the monthly search volume for the keywords you're targeting. Now what you want to do is figure out what's the rough spend potential of these keywords. If you're like me, then you can just look at the search volume and then already get a sort of instinct as to what the spend potential is. But for you, let's just run some example calculations to give you an idea. Highlight and copy the most recent monthly search volume like this. Now, you need to multiply this number by your benchmark impression share, click-through rate, and cost per click. You can use this little tool I made for you here to help out with this. Link in the description below to get a copy of this. All right, so once you got the tool, punch in your monthly search volume number up here, the estimate you got from Keyword Planner. Now you can input your expected impression share, and if you don't really know the answer to this, then just keep it at 40%. Punch in your benchmark click-through rate and cost per click. Now, hopefully you've got an idea of what benchmarks should be for your industry, but if you don't, then this table down here can help out. This is benchmark data collected by WordStream as of 2024. So let's say I'm in the home and home improvement niche. So I will grab this click-through rate here and then put it in over here. Then I'll grab this cost per click over here and put it in over here. Boom, I've got a rough monthly spend estimate down here of about 4.5K. All right, so now you can compare this number to your actual spend and your budget in Google Ads. And do bear in mind that this sheet is a very, very rough estimate. Real numbers can vary a lot, but we're just trying to get a general impression here. So let's say here in this sheet, it estimates 4.5K spend potential per month. The sheet can be wrong by a wide margin, so I'd say really the spend potential could be anywhere between like 2K up to maybe 10K. And then let's say in Google Ads, my actual spend is like 5K per month, but the budget I've been trying to hit is 20K per month. So my actual spend in this scenario is not far off the potential spend estimate, but the budget I'm trying to hit is much, much higher than that. So in a case like this, yeah, it could be the case that my issue is low search volume. Now, on the other hand, let's say my sheet is estimating 4.5K spend potential per month again, but this time my Google budget is set to 5K per month, but my actual spend is way lower, like only $200 per month. Well, if that's the case, my actual spend is hitting nowhere near the estimated spend based on the search volume. So in a case like this one, it might not be a low search volume issue, and it might actually be one of the other issues I've covered in this video. By the way, what I showed you just now was how to estimate this for search keywords campaigns. If you're running shopping or Performance Max, you can't download the exact keywords, but you can do the next best thing, which is to download these search terms and then use those to estimate the search volume. So here's an example for a PMax campaign. Come into the PMax campaign and click on Insights. Scroll down to Search Term Insights and click here to view the detailed report. Select a longer date range to get more data, then hit Download. Download to a G Sheet, then open it up. Highlight all the search terms in this column over here and copy. Paste this into the Keyword Planner instead. If you get any errors here, don't worry, just remove the keywords by clicking the button that comes up. And then now you can run the report just like before, and you will get that search volume estimate that you can then use to plug into the sheet I shared and estimate your spend level potential. All right, so let's say you did this analysis and you found that search volume might indeed be an issue. What do you do? For search campaigns, what you can do is add more keywords into the campaign. Do keyword research using Keyword Planner to find more good keywords and then add them into your campaign. Also in search, another thing you can try if you already maxed out on keyword research is to try broad match keywords. If you're currently using only exact and or phrase match, then expanding to broad match can help you increase your volume. There's also AI Max for search, which is a new thing Google recently announced and is kind of like broad match on steroids. Might be worth a try. At time of shooting this video, it is very new and not available in all accounts yet, so I can't really comment on how effective it is. Finally, if you're running shopping or e-commerce PMax campaigns and you think you have a search volume issue, do keyword research using Keyword Planner to find good keywords that are not already in your titles or product type. Then optimize your titles and product type fields to include more of those good keywords. By the way, if you're struggling to scale your Google Ads and are looking for a fully done for you Google Ads management service, then check out the link in the description below this video. On that link, you'll be able to book a time to talk with me. What I can then do for you is a free, no obligation Google Ads audit to see where you're leaving money on the table right now. All right, with that said, let's get back to the meat and potatoes of today's video. All right, next up, check for any disapproved ads or assets. For search campaigns, here's a quick way to do that. From the All Campaigns screen, make sure you filter for only enabled campaigns and enabled ad groups again. Under the Campaigns drop-down, click on Ads. add a policy approval filter using these settings right here. Once you input the filter, if anything at all comes up here on this screen, you have an ad approval issue. If you're running PMax, then instead of ads, click on asset groups over here on the left-hand side. Switch over to table format. Make sure you're only looking at enabled campaigns, enabled ad groups, and enabled asset groups. Add a policy filter using these settings. Now, if you do find that you have ad approval issues, here's what you can do. First of all, you can check out my video deep dive on getting ads approved. I've linked that in the description below this video. But from a high-level perspective, what I can tell you right here is that first you need to become very familiar with the exact reason why you got disapproved. So hover over the disapproval reason like this to see more details. You can click to read more details about the policy and become really familiar with it. Now, if after reading that policy document, you have figured out what's gone wrong with the ad, then you can either tweak the existing ad to fix it or create a new ad that complies with the policy and then resubmit the new ad. On the other hand, if you are absolutely sure your ads do already comply with the policy, you can click to appeal the decision here. This is the quickest way to try and fix it, but it often does not work, even if your ads are legit already in line with Google policy. So I'd suggest trying the appeal button the first time around, and if that doesn't work, you can also try recreating the ad and resubmitting it. And then if that doesn't work, and you are really sure your ad is compliant and that Google has made a mistake here, which does happen often, by the way, then you'll need to go through a manual appeals process. So don't just use the appeal button again. Instead, you need to get in touch with a real human at Google and basically hash it out with them. They will try and fob you off, but you need to stay persistent here. Now, I do go into this in more detail and even give you a template email that you can use in the video linked in the description below. If your campaign is using smart bidding and it's new or you've recently made changes, it might be in the learning phase. Check the campaign's status. It'll say learning or sometimes limited. The fix here is mostly patience. Give it time to gather data and settle in. Also, avoid making constant changes to your bid strategy settings, as each change can actually reset the learning period. If you're struggling with low volume during this phase and you do want to accelerate out of the learning phase faster, you could temporarily switch to a maximize bid strategy to feed Google more data. What I mean by this is to set the bid strategy to maximize clicks, or maximize conversions, or maximize conversion value. If you're running target CPA, then you can switch to maximize conversions by removing the CPA target. And if you're running target ROAS, you can remove the ROAS target and then shift into maximize conversion value mode. Just remember that warning I mentioned earlier, the maximize modes can hike up your spend fast and might immediately shoot your spend up to the daily budget. So make sure you set your daily budget to something moderate you can actually handle before making this type of switch. Another reason your campaign might not be spending its full daily budget is because your location targeting is just too narrow. A lot of advertisers don't realize how restrictive this can be. You might think you're targeting the right area, say just New York City or a 10-kilometer radius around your location. But in reality, you could be cutting off a massive chunk of potential traffic. So here's how to check. Head into your campaign settings and look at the locations setting. What areas are you targeting? Is it a small radius, one city, one country? Then also double check the advanced location options. If you are currently only targeting presence, then switch to presence or interest, and that could give you the boost in spend that you need. Aside from this, what other ways do we have of fixing this potential issue? If you're e-commerce, in most cases, you should be targeting all the countries you can actually ship to or sell in. If you're USA-based, but you can also ship to Canada or UK, then try targeting those countries. And definitely don't restrict it to just one city or region unless you absolutely have to. If you're a local business, it often makes sense to widen your radius. Try expanding it to see if that makes a difference. And of course, do make sure that all your serviced areas are actually included. And here's a common one. Make sure you haven't accidentally excluded locations that you meant to include. I have actually seen accounts where the advertiser meant to include a location, but mistakenly added it as an exclusion. So do have a quick look at that location exclusion list while you're in there. Just broadening your geo-targeting can often unlock a lot more search volume, impressions, and of course, ad spend. Another sneaky culprit is low ad quality, or more specifically, a low click-through rate. Here's the deal, even if your bids and budget are set up correctly, Google still wants to show ads that get clicked. If your ads don't get clicked enough because they're not engaging, not relevant, or just a bit dull, Google will prioritize other advertisers who are getting better CTRs. This is where quality score comes into play. It's Google's rating of how relevant and useful your ads are. It's based on things like your CTR, how closely your ad matches the keyword, and the experience people have on your landing page. To check your scores, go to the Keywords tab in your campaign, then add the quality score column. Once you've added it, you'll see a score from 1 to 10 for each keyword. Now, anything under a 6 usually means Google doesn't exactly love your ad, so you can apply a filter for anything under 6. In this example, nothing is actually coming up because this is one of our client accounts, so of course we've already optimized every keyword to be above 6 already. But if you're seeing lots of keywords coming up here, then rank in descending order of cost so that the highest spend offenders come up to the top. And whatever's up at the top here is going to be your first priority to start working on to get the quality score up. So if you're having quality score or ad quality issues, here's how you can fix them. Write ads that clearly match the search intent. If someone searches for vegan protein powder, your ad should literally say vegan protein powder in the headline. Be direct, no fluff. Be specific, not generic. Instead of saying best products at great prices, say 25 grams of organic protein and $44.99 for £5. Real specific benefits always outperform vague claims. Use all the space available. If you haven't already, fill out all 15 headlines and 4 descriptions in your responsive search ads. Give Google lots of options to test. Now, I don't usually recommend fully filling out all the headlines and descriptions here, but in this case, if we're suffering low spends due to ads quality, it can be worth a try. Improve your landing page. Make sure the page loads quickly, looks good on mobile, and matches what the ad promised. If people click your ad and bounce immediately, Google notices that, and you could get penalized. Test new ad variations. If an ad has been running for ages and isn't performing, don't just tweak it, try completely new variations. Sometimes a fresh angle outperforms everything else. So yeah, low CTR or poor ad quality might not feel like the most obvious reason your budget isn't fully spending, but Google is an attention economy. If your ads aren't winning clicks, Google won't want to show them, even if you're bidding high enough. And lastly, if you're running a Performance Max campaign, you might be giving Google too little to work with in terms of assets or product feed. If you haven't provided enough assets, or if you're an e-commerce brand and haven't attached your product feed, that can seriously limit your reach. To check this, go into your asset groups and look for missing elements like headlines, images, or videos. If you have a bunch of asset groups with only 1 or 2 images, or maybe in one of your asset groups you forgot to add in lots of headlines, then just go in and boost up the number of assets in that asset group. Try and max it out to give Google more to work with. And if you're e-commerce, do make sure your Merchant Center feed is linked properly to your PMax campaign. If you're doing e-com and you did forget to attach a product feed to PMax, and now you're suffering low volume issues, well then I bet that attaching a product feed to allow PMax to start running shopping ads for you is going to boost your campaign into the right direction. Alright, let's wrap this up with a quick recap. If your Google Ads campaign isn't spending the full budget, in most cases it's because your cost per click bids are too low. Fix it by increasing bids, adjusting smart bidding targets, or if you're being bold, switching to a maximized bid strategy. And if it's not your bids, run through the checklist. Search volume, disapprovals, smart bidding learning phase, high geotargeting, low ad quality or CTR, limited assets, or no product feed in PMax. Sort those out and you'll usually unlock more spend and more scale. If this video helped, then I think you'll love this one up here where I show you the exact weekly checklist my team and I use to help scale Google Ads to 7 figures and beyond. Check out the video and grab a free copy of that checklist so that you can start optimizing your Google Ads like a 10-year PPC veteran.